Okay, so I think this goes without saying. One of my favorite R&B artists is considered is Neo. Neo is known for making love songs, or no, is known for making a song especially spectacular because of the way he carries a melody or a bunch of melodies on top of each other, but also the way he creates lyrics in different songs. And I think this is no different. So him and Young Blood decided to do another collab. They've already did a song together, so this will be their second collab, which I believe that they're creating something like Tunchi and Rich the Kid created, where they're creating two singles and a song, or Anderson Paak and Bruno Mars, where they're making a bunch of songs, they're putting two singles out and then making an album, which I am not totally against. I think that would be a great idea for both of these artists. Which Youngblood is is a younger artist, and Neo seems to be taking him under his wing. But Youngblood has also had amazing features like Her. So every time I see these two drop a feature kind of thing, I do enjoy it. I don't know why, but I do. Um, just because it always seems special to me of how they're able to grow together as a as a as a as two different people in a group together making music. We'll get right to all of this after word from our sponsor, but I just had to say this because Neo is very talented in what he does, which I think is amazing to me that Neo is such a talented person where he's able to do phenomenal things like releasing music and stuff like this, which I believe is one of the things that makes Neo very inspirational to me, because Neo is an amazing artist to me. But we'll get into all this after a word from my sponsor. Okay, so I kind of explain what I say. So Neo and Youngblood created a song, and the song is called "Walking Through Fire," where it's Neo, where Neo takes the lead in the song, where he talks about how he fell in love with a girl. He fell in love with a girl or woman, and he just says that he fell in love with her so much that he was never gonna say goodbye when they ended on bad terms, or when he is in this moment, um, thinking back on a time where he was in love with a woman. And I think Neo, being the R&B love artist that he is, and being in a marriage that he is in now, I think this says a lot, because we've kind of grown as Neo has grown in his songs, which I think is undoubtedly one of the best things we will ever get from Neo. But however, I think with his maturity wise, I think the song is great for him. And then him and Young Blur, which the first verse and the first hook come from Neo, which is really no surprise because the way Neo carries the song, it feels like a love song, and roughly for the standpoint it is, it's a song where if you're trying to memorize some or remember the great times you had with somebody, or the time now where you're still thinking of good times with them, where he just says, I fell in love with you, and it's gotten to a point where when we parted ways, or if we're gonna part ways, it's hard to say goodbye. Even though there are a lot of people that are just for that season, they aren't necessarily for your entire life. They're never. Some people are like high school friends, some people are college friends, but they'll never be like, forever friends. And that's hard for a lot of people. He also talks about that he will go through the fire to um, show you his expression of love, which I think explains a lot of Neo's tendencies. But also, Youngblood, they add to this part where they share the song, and they're just saying, I will walk through the fire. I walk through it for you." And then Neo adds like, "Late, see you later see you later in the sky." Which, as I said, this song is if you're trying to remember somebody and remember the good ideas if they're dead, not necessarily RIP if they are, but not necessarily if it's like if it ended on bad terms. This is what he's kind of saying. Hey, no, y'all might end on bad terms, but it's hard for me to say goodbye to you. Or if you're dealing with somebody and you're like, yeah, you know what, we had a great run, we had a great time, but it has to end. Stuff like that. That's completely understandable. And I think It's hard for a lot of people to get through that part when we get into relationships, friendships, best friendships, stuff like that, or courtships. It's hard for a lot of people to say goodbye to the good times. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes you have to let things go for the right reasons, and it's not necessarily your fault. But in the song, he kind of says, you know, it's hard to say goodbye. He doesn't give in the song. It doesn't give a specific reason why Young Blood adds on to it, where he kind of has like the chorus where he says, "I'll walk through it for you. I'll walk through fire." He says, "I'll walk through fire just to hear." Youngblood says, "I will walk through fire to hear you say, I do," as in get married or forgive somebody or whatever it is that you're dealing with that person. That you just do, even if it's a marriage. He talks about it in which a good way. I think everybody should understand. He says, in every moment and in every amount of time that I'm thinking back on the memories that we once made and how they infected me as a person. And I think this is that kind of song where you want to listen to it. Which Neyo vocally is always amazing. Yung Bleu with the chorus is good. Neyo controlling the song is what I do like. I do like the way Neyo carries it. But overall, and I know I've been ranking Neyo a little bit harder than I should because I hold Neyo to a high standard. I'm going to give him a 6.2 out of 10 because that's the only, like, I do respect Neyo and his art, but 6.2 out of 10.